Please welcome to the Explore Scientific stage, Mr. Ken Martz.
Hey friends, Kent Martz here on a beautiful Thursday afternoon for our social media live broadcast, warm up for our Amazon live broadcast we'll be doing here in a few minutes. Today's show is On the Wing. We're going to be talking about birding and ways to take pictures of birds using a telescope. Yes, indeed, using a telescope. So how it's going to work is real simple. Take the DSLR you have, get yourself a T-ring. This is a T2 ring thin for a Canon telescope or Canon camera. This is a Canon camera. You're also going to need a telescope. In this case, we're going to use an ESED 102 telescope. It's 102 millimeters telescope, 714 millimeter focal length. Paul, show us some pictures, would you, that have been taken with a Explore Scientific ESED 102 millimeter telescope by one of our engineers, Sheldon Fawarski. Those are going to come up. These are going to be some spectacular pictures you're going to see that are truly amazing in some of the details that he's able to get. And you say, oh, I've got a big telescope, a big zoom lens. Telescopes, look at that. Just astounding. And
please welcome to the Explore Scientific stage, Mr. Ken Martz.
I'm not sure what's going on here.
What happened?
So what's going on? We getting birds up there or not? There we go. There's a bird.
A bird?
Yep. It's
What
a sapsucker.
bird?
It's a sapsucker. Look at the detail. You can see the little barbs. They're actually not saps. They don't suck sap. They get bugs that are in the sap.
Bugga bugga.
And you can see little barbs on its tongue. Fantastic. Taken with a Explore Scientific Essential Series 102 millimeter telescope. Cycle through, Paul.
Hang on. You caught me off guard with this today.
David Samard, hello. Bit of a problem. Yep, having a bit of a problem, but we're getting it corrected.
Wow. It won't let me do it. Okay.
So trying to show you some pictures to give you an idea of what this telescope can do. Meshed up with the camera, we're going to go on. Oh, there we go. Look at that spectacular mourning dove. The detail in it, the color around its eye. Look at that blue. Just a fantastic picture. And go on, just sort of. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about how we're going to do this.
I got it now. It just took a second. You caught me off guard. I didn't realize
that is a starling, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Beautiful winter plumage of the starling. That's not snow on its. That is not snow on its feathers. That's its winter plumage where it gets white dots on the tip of its feathers. There is an oriole, Baltimore oriole,
Is it Baltimore? You sure he's from Baltimore?
It's an orchard.
What if he was from Boston?
Could be a Boston Oriole. Don't think there is. They'd have Red Sox. There's a rose-breasted grosbeak.
How offensive. He should file a complaint against the bird naming convention.
It means gross is French for large, large beak. And he does indeed have a large beak. That would be a ruby-throated hummingbird.
Do we know what the shutter speed he used for that is?
I have not looked at his metadata. I could. We can go do that.
Okay.
At some point. You can look at his metadata. You've got the pictures.
Oh, yeah. You have to wait a second.
Yeah, I know. So all right, so there you go. So there's a few pictures of what you can do with a telescope and a camera. So we're going to talk about how to hook the telescope up. So let me loosen up. I've got this 102 on a Qualite 1 mount. It's a simple left, right, up, and down. It has slow motion controls, so you can get it framed up really nicely. It's an astronomy tool, but it allows you to take pictures of land things as well because it moves left, right, and up and down. It's real simple and straightforward to use. So you're simply going to take out the diagonal. You're going to put in, you're going to need 2 extension tubes on here, and I didn't get the extension tubes, but the extension tubes are going to go right here. You unscrew the tension collar, screw on the extension tubes, and then put the tension collar back in. Then here's how I'm going to do this. We have the T-ring, and this is an adapter. It's over, it's 310365, I think is the SKU, but it's an adapter that has T2 ring thread right here, M42 T-ring. It screws on to the adapter just like that. Now then, we can take the camera, put the camera onto the T-ring. So all we do is we've turned the camera into, right? This is just like a lens hooks up to your camera. And now we can put the camera into the telescope, and now we have the ability to take pictures of birds with our telescope, just like we do astrophotography. We have now, very simply, turned the ED-102 into a telephoto lens for your camera. You have a Nikon or a Sony or other cameras, you have T-rings that you can attach as well. They'll have that M42 thread that screws on. And then you can use the focuser to turn gross focus and the 10-to-1 focuser to get very small focus. So how do you take pictures of birds? You can't move it around real quick like you can. There's was a cedar waxwing. That was a beautiful bird. There's a Carolina wren, I believe. Yep. Or you saw it. I'm sitting a little bit behind. Yep, that's Carolina wren up there. So how does Sheldon do this? He has some sneaky little tricks. He pays the birds $5 each to go pose for him, and very simple, a model fee. Not really, but sort of. He creates situations, and he knows where the birds are going to be. So he's generally putting out seed and bird feed, or otherwise creating situations where the birds want to be, or he looks where the birds are going to go. That is a red-headed woodpecker you see right there. He creates a situation where the birds want to be there, and he'll cut branches on trees in specific ways, create situations where the birds are going to perch just naturally, and then he points his telescope there, and he focuses on that spot, and then he waits patiently, and the birds move in to where his camera is pointed, and he takes pictures. Obviously, he knows what his exposures are going to be. You can't just set it on auto because there's no f-stop on this telescope. This is an f7 telescope, so you have to work with that f-stop, which means you're going to have to set the camera on manual, which means you're going to have to there's 2 settings you have, the ISO setting and the shutter speed setting. Generally, you want to be shooting at least 1/250th of a second, but you can adjust a little bit higher is always better. But you also want to adjust your ISO and do some test exposures before you start shooting. My advice to you would be to simply do some test shots, then pull out the card, put them in your computer, and look at them. I don't trust the visual back of a camera real well until I really know that it's accurate compared to what it looks like on my computer and the prints I get out of it. So we're going to go get ready. Let's see, got some questions. Afternoon crew from Norm Hughes. Hello, Norm. And David Samard. Extension tube for land pictures or space pictures. I would do them for both. You can always experiment and find out what works with your camera and your setup. But typically, you've got to get pretty far back to get a camera in focus because you have to take up all the distance taken up by the diagonal as well. That's what the extension tubes do. So you can get your camera's focal plane or shutter plane into the focal plane where it comes into focus. So gotta get ready for the Amazon Live. We'd love for you to follow us over to Amazon Live over on Amazon.com, where we will fire up and talk about this a little bit more detail as well as some binoculars. We appreciate your time with us here on Facebook, and I believe we're on YouTube right now. And off we go. So we'll see you in a few minutes. Appreciate you giving us your time this afternoon. Hope we can see you over on Amazon Live. For Explore Scientific, I'm Kent Martz. Have a great Thursday. Bye-bye.